Welcome to your amazing watercolor technique demonstration. Woo, woo, woo. I am going to start the demonstration kind of in the bottom, and I'll show you why. I want to paint just a thin layer of any color. And in fact, I can add more than one color if I want to. And I'm going to come back to that, but it needs to dry out just a little bit before I do that. So, going to the next technique, up at the top, wash. It means watercolor with a lot of water. So I dip my brush into the water and I get some color, and I dip my brush into the water again and get some color. My brush is now going to have a wash on it. And it is even hard to see up on the screen, but it's just a very thin layer. This works really good in areas like a sky. Wet on wet is very similar to wash, except the difference is you paint the paper with your water first. Kind of weird, but you're just going to paint the paper, and then you go in with the wet watercolor, and it spreads out and it looks kind of cool. Dry brush. You take a paper towel and you wipe off your brush just a little bit. And then you go into, I'm going to go into a brand new color, purple here. I have just the littlest bit of water. It's called dry brush, but you still need a little bit of water to be able to get an effect. And basically you just get a really dark color with a lot of the pigment in it. Salt. For salt, you paint on first. Then you take a sprinkle of salt, just a little bit, and you put it on the paint. And what happens is it spreads away from the area where the salt lands. You can actually see it starting to do it right now. And it's going to leave these really cool white spots. They almost look like stars, and they're really cool. Crayon resist. I'm going to use a white crayon for this, but you can use any color that you want. And basically, anywhere that I color, the watercolor is going to move away from it, just like it did with the salt. So you can see it happening before your eyes. Whoa! Pretty cool. Gradient. That is when you go from one color to another. I'm going to start with red. Dip my brush. Go to an orange. And I kind of go, when I do the orange, I'm kind of going into the red a bit too, because I want those two colors to blend together. And I'll do the same thing with yellow. I can keep going and adding even more fun colors to this mix. My bloom is not ready yet. I think I'm going to do that last. So that leaves me with plastic wrap. I paint the paper first. Then I take a piece of plastic wrap and I'm actually going to stick it on here. And I'm going to leave it on there because once the paint dries, all the little marks and textures and lines are going to stay in there, and it's going to look really cool. Okay, so my bloom is ready to go. When I start to look at it and I can notice that the sheen is starting to go away from it. It's a little bit hard to tell in here, but I can see. So the water is starting to evaporate. So I'm going to get my brush wet, and I'm going to get a color that I don't have on here. I'm going to choose yellow. And I want the yellow with kind of a lot of water. And then I'm going to dip it onto my paint. And what's going to happen is it's going to spread out and create sort of this white area with the paint. I can even like help it along here. Ooh. So this right here would be your bloom. It's like the spreading out of the color. So after you're done with your watercolor techniques, you are going to put it on the drying rack to let it dry. Before you get started though, You are going to want to fold your paper. Let me show you how to do this. Super easy. You fold your paper in half, long ways. Open it up, fold it in half, hamburger ways, corner to corner as best you can. It does not have to be perfect. And then you fold it hot dog way. And when you open it up, you're going to have your 8 sections that you're going to label with your techniques. And you're also going to put your name on it before you get started with your watercolor techniques. So